Would have put it on demand. I would have taped this on my DVR.
Mics are on.
Mics are on. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear us?
Looks like it's muted on the.
Oh, yeah.
You should say, hi, Mom. There it is. My mom's watching at home.
There's a little bit of a delay, huh?
Yeah, there's like a 4-second delay. So why is that? That's still that icon. I've never seen that icon on the
That could be
screen
the
like
TV.
that.
I muted it so that it's not picking up a feedback loop.
Oh, okay,
Ah,
okay,
can't amplify an already amplified signal.
Right.
okay. So are
Okay.
we on yet, Charlie?
You know everything.
Okay. Good evening. This is the Cable TV Advisory Board. Just for the sake to help the public, we're going to introduce ourselves.
Joe Demore?
Tracy Guilford.
John McComiskey?
Beth Rose.
Chris LaCory.
Okay, this evening, we're going to be going over some proposals from Chris. The general public knows we've had some issues with the reliability of the cable equipment, and Chris has met with a vendor to make some suggestions about remedies to ensure that we have a reliable audio and video signal. So Chris, would you like to just give the board a quick synopsis of what the problem was and what the proposed solution is?
Sure. So we got a lot of things in front of us. I'll try and keep it all, succinct. But the biggest problem that I've been having is stuff in our head end has been breaking down or, being dysfunctional. Since I've been here, we've never really addressed cabling issues, lack of space, and some of the older, like legacy equipment that's totally outdated. And we've had a couple vendors work on it in the past. I don't have CAD drawings or diagrams of the wiring, so it's very difficult for me to go in there if we do have a problem and really see, exactly pinpoint what I need to get to. On top of that, it's difficult for me to move back there, and if I need to switch something or take something out of the signal flow, it's difficult, if not impossible, for me to do that without making problems worse. So one thing that happened in early May is one of our time-based correctors, which is a little device that's supposed to help sync audio and video, just completely went down. And that took down the audio on one of the channels for a couple days until I was able to figure out that that's what was causing our problem. I took it out, and we've been fine since. But I want to redo all the wiring, soup to nuts, totally gut what exists in there, and also put the servers in racks that are the proper size, because one of the things we've identified is that they're hanging out. It's just the way it is. We're using probably 30-plus-year-old equipment racks in there. So
Are the servers new? The old
the
servers, too.
servers are relatively new. They're about 4 or 5 years at this point, so they're not end of life. They're probably mid-life.
Are they designed to be in a rack?
Yeah,
Okay.
they should be in a rack. I mean, they are in a rack, but they're just not in a proper size one. So that's something that would help extend
The life of the
the life and
proper ventilation and all that stuff. So
be better. So, so that's number one. Then we have a
Well,
bunch
let's deal
Okay.
with one thing at a
one thing at a
time.
time.
What is the proposed cost to remedy that?
You may want to acknowledge Selectman Watson's
Oh,
here. He's on
yep.
the Board of Selectmen
We-
as liaison for the cable TV.
We have Selectman Edward Watson is here, and he will be taking over for Joe Demore at the end of the month. So he's here to learn what the Cable Advisory Committee is doing.
So we're gonna focus on what's called a head end.
So the head
rack.
end total cost should be $13,959.
That includes installation?
That includes installation, labor, parts, a new rack,
designs
designs,
and removal of old
and
equipment.
removal of old equipment and replacement of anything that might be dysfunctional, so.
Okay.
So in layman's terms, when we have this, what will happen?
So they're gonna come in, we're gonna schedule it for a period of time that things aren't happening, you know, like
Yeah,
over the summer when there's no meetings, you know,
Yeah.
we're probably gonna need at least a week.
wow,
Okay.
But it shouldn't go more than a week.
Okay.
And we're gonna disconnect everything, and redo everything right from the server, right from the.
and what is a head end rack, what does it do? When this is all done, what is the benefit to our town?
So
Just
it's,
in layman's terms,
it's going to make it so
Helicopter
that
view.
I can troubleshoot if we have problems in there without making things worse.
And you could add growth.
We're
You
gonna
can-
add growth potential, we're going to clean it up so that it's not chaotic and crazy.
so some problems such as, there were meetings without audio, there was audio without, anything being seen on the screen, those type of problems.
Yeah, occasionally, you know, if, like I said, that time-based corrector went down and
Yeah.
that, you know, because that was dysfunctioning, we had no audio for a
Yeah,
day or two,
okay.
The
so.
the other thing I see here is I saw a picture of the wire spaghetti, and it looks like it doesn't follow proper engineering and installation practices.
Yeah, I don't know if the picture they used
Is
us,
yours, but I'm assuming it's
but it's-
it's
A
equivalent
It's
to.
almost that bad, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You
we
imagine-
had
Is that-
2 prior vendors do work back
That's amazing.
there, the camera company and Axis AV, and, you know, I've seen, HB, you know, they did this, we've got, you know, nice,
Proper wire management.
it's easy to figure out,
Mhm.
so that helps me do my job.
Great.
All right, so I would say, I would entertain a motion that we would proceed with this, with the idea that this would be done starting like on a Tuesday
Yep,
following a selectmen's meeting.
That's what we.
So that
had.
would give us almost 2 weeks, that if there was issue with them, for whatever reason, that it took a little more time, I think it's vital that we support the Board of Selectmen, as well as the other boards and committees, but for the people to know what's going on in the Board of Selectmen, I think is vital.
Yep. I had identified like the second week of the month, because usually planning board, zoning board, board of selectmen, they're all out of the
Right.
way.
Do we know, do we have what's our budget? What do we have?
We have money, Denise has said we have money in the budget,
It's about
To support this.
191,000 in the cable.
so,
fund.
so we do have money in the budget for
Alright.
this. So,
The only thing I saw on was the PDF. You wanna make sure that we get
Yep,
a.
I'll ask them for that, I'm sure.
We
they
want
can
a
do that.
usable format. PDF is not a usable format for.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we engage with HB.
for the
in order-
rewiring of the
For the
head end.
rewiring of the head end rack.
So this includes the new rack,
Yes.
okay, so the $13,959
That's
New
just
rack,
gonna take
new
care of.
And
cabling.
this is just infrastructure, really. There's no end, there's no cameras or anything like that. It's just
Not for
infrastructure.
this. This
That's what I'm
is
saying. This is just
strictly-
purely an infrastructure build.
And that's why I wanted to take things separately.
good way to
I
do
don't-
it. No,
I don't
totally agree.
like to mix things up, so this is strictly rewiring the head end,
Okay. So that's my motion.
I second.
okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
We've already had discussion.
All right,
Can you explain just for the record, for Selectman Watson also, how and why we engaged with this one company?
Sure, well, HB's on the.
Versus putting out bids.
Yeah, HB's on the state contract, so they get the best prices
The state
in the state.
already,
State of Massachusetts
Screens them out.
awarded them OFF 30B, I believe,
Right.
and.
Well,
so-
did we use them also for the prior project, so they're familiar with the build?
Yeah, the prior upgrade, nothing before that.
Yeah, but the big one we just
prior
did.
One that we
Right.
did exactly a year ago.
well, for purchase over 10,000, we normally get bids, at least 3 companies, unless that, we choose a company that's already been scrubbed, it's on the state list.
Right.
So they've
And they are
already
on
done the
state
shopping
list.
for us, if you will.
Yes.
Because they'll always come in at the lowest possible price.
Right.
Okay. Just so everybody's on board, no one
Yep.
questions.
No, I like using a company that's familiar with it also.
Okay. Just want to bring you up to speed.
all right.
It's not always accurate. The
Okay,
state
well,
bid-
let's speak up.
The state bid list is not always the lowest.
Okay.
It's the
And I've seen things I've seen items on the state bid list that you can buy elsewhere cheaper. It's just that the state's already done the work, put it out to bid, and they're on the list, and they can be chosen, but it's a misconception that they're the lowest. They may not be.
I don't think we should always go for the lowest price. You kind of get what you pay for.
I
I think it's more of a
100%
recommendation
agree
off
with
the person who's actually used them before. We use them to do this.
Yeah.
And so that's how I would prefer it to be.
It's
When you're
good
dealing with this
information.
high-end equipment and this type of integration, you know, cheapest bid is not always the best.
Yeah. I
Causes you more problems in the long run.
agree with that.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Second thing, you had proposed some more microphones.
Yep, so here's what we wanted to do with that.
See it real quick.
Denise, hold on, let me make sure that's the right one. It's not.
Is that the,
Give me 1 second. I gotta-
is that the $9,000 one?
Yes. it is.
9,325?
This is it. I think I only have one copy of that.
Oh, why did that change
Just
from,
take that one.
No, it didn't change, so
I've already reviewed that.
okay.
is that the 9,325?
325.
For, and that's just adding a couple of microphones?
Microphones are expensive.
Let me explain
Okay.
what
Yep.
this encompasses. We need to add another four base station charger. We had 2 mics, after we did all this, we had 2 mics that we didn't have charger stations for.
Right,
It seemed at the time like 8 was gonna be perfectly enough, you know, we went to a 5-person board that still gave us extras. But Denise felt that we should have maybe 4 mics in the audience as opposed to 2. I don't disagree.
Okay.
And so this proposal would give us 2 10-inch goosenecks for out here. We'd use 2 of these in the back, and if we wanted to, we could also use both of those handheld mics.
Okay.
That currently we have to swap 1 or 2 of those out.
well, I'm not trying to grill you as far as, I know if
I
any
know it looks
lay
like a lot.
person looking and hearing this and it's like saying, geez, can you really spend that much to add, you know, just a few more microphones?
Yeah.
So,
One of the other things they included on this, I'm not sure why they put it on this one as opposed to any of the other ones, but that's just the way they did it.
Mike's is it?
We had a problem with the old table back there.
right,
It was
Transceivers right
always
there.
being moved by
Full-channel network
boards
interface
in
right
here, it wasn't in a spot that
10-inch right there,
anybody
2 of
liked.
those.
yeah,
So at one point during the book sale or something,
the table broke.
the table broke completely.
So have we put in for a new table?
That is also
Okay.
included in this, and
And
that's
and it's
one of
a-
the reasons it's,
Okay,
so
Is-
they're gonna put something with wheels this time,
okay.
which is
Sturdy.
what I want, should be, and they're also going to move the door to the other side, because now that that's sort of there, it makes sense to have the door not block the operator, so that he can
Right.
see and get to it a little easier.
Mhm.
So, that's what all that encompasses. I've had great luck with these mics. They haven't been perfect, you know, but in the grand scheme of things, compared to what we had before them,
Okay.
I think they've been phenomenal.
I just want to inform the committee too, at one point, we did have issues with the whole microphone system going down, and there was a technical glitch. Chris was able to contact HB.
Yep.
Gave, and what we did, we, because of that, to make it shouldn't happen again, but if it did, we have a redundancy backup of just a hardwired mic back there, correct?
Yeah, well, what we did was we put in 8 XLR
XLRs.
analogs ports over there. Now, when we do this, we're gonna lose a couple of those, not all of them. We're gonna have at least 4.
So do you have separate mics for those? Because these aren't XLR mics.
Well, they feed back to a base station that's XLR, so.
No, but I'm saying these mics aren't XLR.
No,
So you need a mic that's an XLR.
we have some old
Old mics that you
gooseneck
can plug in.
XLR mics.
Okay.
And we have 2 SMC 810 mixers back there. The first one is maxed out with these. The second one, we're gonna use half of for the expansion. And then
Other half
the
is
other
for
half
growth
is
or-
gonna be for, just in case everything goes down and we need to
can quickly
plug
patch it in.
some
Yep.
of the old ones, so.
So if one of these goes down, they all go down?
No,
Okay.
no.
No.
And,
We had one instance in the last year where, the mics all came unlinked and we didn't know how to reset it, and we were just screwed for that night, for lack of a better word, but.
I remember that night.
That's only happened to us once, and I don't think that
I
will
think as
happen
you become
again.
more familiar with the new equipment. you
Yeah,
can-
they trained me on it the next day, they had a tech come out.
XLR is a
fix it.
quick connect.
Yeah,
done.
we didn't have that at the time.
See, these probably, when I was in the Air Force, we bought a lot of this equipment before, and these, it seems very much in line with what we've done.
Okay.
Yeah.
good.
Nothing sticks out.
Okay, so everyone's comfortable with that, so I would entertain a motion to proceed with the new microphones.
and exactly how many microphones?
Huh?
So we're adding 2 more goosenecks, and then the other 2 that we already have are gonna be compatible with that base station. So we're really adding 4, we're getting 2
Yeah,
brand
did you
new
get that?
ones, and we're
Yeah,
taking
right.
2 that we
So
don't
who's
have
sharing
room
this one?
for. And so, we're adding 4 to the system.
Is this the only room we use them?
This is the only room we use these, we have another set of these in the fire department
Okay,
meeting room.
She has one.
So we have a whole nother system over there for that meeting room of 8. Which is what they said.
and are these sufficient for the selectmen meetings, where there are 5 members,
Yep,
and for Denise?
yep.
So you're looking for,
Extra
For
for
the
more like
audience.
the crowd.
Right, two more is what they said they wanted. These pick up pretty big range, but, you know, people that generally don't like to come up anywhere near a microphone when they talk, that's been problematic, and so we're just gonna do the best we can.
Well, since I videotaped the Board of Selectmen meeting, if you'll notice, sometimes you'll see me running around.
Right,
Because
I
when
did.
I'm listening and I hear the audio and somebody has a really soft voice, I have to move the microphone closer to them.
yeah.
You didn't want to
So-
consider putting omnidirectional microphones
We
above the
had
ceiling?
those at one time.
But you could hardwire them in, which would be more sensitive, and the microphone technology would be pretty good as well.
Okay.
Put like 3 of them in the ceiling would cover the audience, and that way you don't have to stick it in somebody's face. Something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, we did have ceiling mics, but we had problems with it picking up the air conditioning. picking
The
up
air
other-
conditioning is what the
other
problem was.
noises. It just didn't really work
Okay,
well. So
perfect.
I thought this was the way to go.
Good.
And
Yeah.
with a couple, problems, it's
It-
been
it's-
pretty good.
Okay.
It's definitely the air conditioning, was it, because you would hear like a.
They're sensitive, I mean,
Yeah.
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 so, okay.
So, all right, then I'll make the motion on this that we approve the $9,325 for the new microphones.
So moved, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, what's our next agenda item, Chris?
Okay, let's see, so,
Probably new camera.
did we do the projector yet, or do you?
We didn't do
Let's
the
do the new
projector.
camera, I wanted,
Okay.
and then I have to go after that one.
Sure.
Can I see- I didn't see it. Can I
Sure,
see it?
yeah, so this is a couple things in there too. It's a camera, a monitor, a hard drive to back up the server, drives in the head end, and another, hard drive for the NX5 camera, just in case the one that we have breaks, I wanna have two.
No, I don't have the.
It's always a good idea to have more than one of something we need.
And it's 4K?
It is. I don't think we're gonna use that feature a lot, but they generally don't make
Yeah.
1080p only cameras
Yeah.
anymore, so I would rather get something that has more features than we need. and
I agree
then-
for growth, I was just wondering what we're, because
Sure.
4K takes a ton of bandwidth.
Yep.
Cable companies can't even support it right now, so you would, even if you could get a digital connect to it, they wouldn't be able to do it. but-
Yeah, it's just a capability it has.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be shooting in 1080 with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about it is it's got 2 SDI ports on it, so like when we do Veterans Day or Memorial Day outside, I can run one of the 200-foot cable inputs into here and still have one for a monitor to actually
So
see
see
what
what's
I'm
going on.
getting.
Yep.
So that's something that really jumped out to me, and the codec's a lot better than AVC HD. It's XAVC. That seems to be the way things are going.
Just for giggles, have you kind of done an online search for this one? I mean,
What do you mean?
like just, you can Google that part number and find out where the pricing is for that one,
Where the pricing is for what?
for that exact camera.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked around. I've looked at B&H. I've looked at others. I've
I mean,
seen
with
one.
services and all that,
Yeah.
there's the company themselves, I get it, but when you're just talking about one capital item here, it's
Right.
pretty easy to Google it and go, same camera, same everything, and
right.
see the price difference.
Yeah.
And buying a camera, you can easily get through another source.
Yeah, no, it's definitely comparable with that lens, and it's exactly the same, so.
So on this one includes the camera and what other,
Camera, media cards, card reader, 3 batteries, which is good. I like to have more than 1 battery. A bag, I've got a monitor, which is something that I feel we could definitely use. It also is a recorder, so it gives us another level of redundancy. We can record on the camera, on the monitor, have 2 recordings. Some drives for that recorder, and then the bottom 2 things are unrelated to the camera, but one is that extra drive for the NX camera, and one is the hard drive. I want an off-site backup of everything that's on our server.
Yep,
I mean, we have RAID redundancy, but why bother not having?
It's easy to put it on a
Yeah,
USB on a
so
drive.
that's something I just really want to do, so.
I just want to let the community know too, I asked Chris to price out a second camera because my goal was, because we had the issues with the equipment or audio, I want to start coming to the meeting and I want to have just a still camera as a backup for the
Picking
Board of
everything up just in
Selectmen.
case, yeah, we need
Just because I feel the Selectmen meeting is so critical to what happens here, we cannot afford not having that recording.
And that actually happened the very first evening of, the first meeting that we had with a 5-member board.
Right.
The first 20, 30 minutes or so was not recorded. In fact, it didn't even go out live, so.
Right.
If we had this
So-
backup, we would have been able to capture the very beginning of that meeting, so. It was
Yeah.
very,
Being in
very
communications,
unusual.
you always want to have a backup.
Extremely
We had a backup system in here.
okay.
So guys, I have to excuse myself.
We had a malfunction.
Thank you.
that
Thank you
night,
so
Yeah.
much.
so-
All right.
Hey,
If
good,
you want me to take a look at some of the, send me the docs, I'll take a
yeah,
look at it
good
as well.
job, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So,
All right,
what,
thank
can you
you.
vote on this one, or?
Yeah, might as well, let's grab your vote.
Yeah.
You're not gonna vote it down, are you?
No,
All right. Then I would say and what do you have for the price tag?
17,981.
17,981?
Yep.
981 for the new camera and equipment. Okay, I make a motion that we approve the 17,981 for the purchase of new camera and related equipment.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous.
Very good, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Okay, next, let's deal with the projector. So,
All right.
I was told, that it would be helpful to have a projector in this room. I don't care either way, but I was told to look at this, so that's what we did. What we were envisioning is a drop-down, retractable screen, over in that area of the room. I think.
Would it be in the way of the camera that's mounted on the wall, or would it be
shouldn't
mounted just below it?
It should be right here.
Okay.
Um,
Is it
I don't
motorized?
know what that is, or if that's even necessary.
I don't believe that's necessary.
So maybe we
That
can
was,
take that out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
is it motorized, or is
Yeah,
it?
it'd be motorized.
Okay, and is it remote control motorized, or is it switch on the wall, or?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I bet there's probably a remote. They were talking about putting in a wall plate of some sort. I think that was more for inputs, so I'd have to find that out, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it would come with a remote if it's gonna be in the ceiling. And that would be wired into.
Well, you just said ceiling, now is
Well,
that
no,
camera
the
gonna?
screen, the screen,
okay,
yeah.
Okay,
I didn't know if you were talking about for the projector
Oh,
or for
okay.
the screen.
okay, like I say, I just didn't know if we had to
That
approve
should be a
money to
button,
move
yeah.
that, okay.
That should be a button. And then, we'd have HDMI and various inputs coming out from a wall plate. My guess was that people would want to use the podium. I don't know if there's any consensus on that, or, it doesn't have to be right there, obviously, but.
Question for you is, as far as the projector, then when somebody's making a projection, we would still use the TV camera, like, or would that have an integrated signal from like the computer that would go directly into our feed.
It does. It's, so we have 8 inputs over there, 6 of which are used by those cameras. So we would put in this as the 7th input. We wouldn't need an A/B switch at all, which would be nice, and.
So we would have, you know, that would be treated almost like
Like it was
another
a camera.
camera.
It would go-
And when you're operating the panel there, and you see something come up, you would just
switch to it as a
swap to
feed,
that
yeah.
as.
So you wouldn't need to aim a camera at it. You
Okay.
could, but.
Okay, well, I'm
you
just
wouldn't
trying
need
to figure out,
Yep.
because I haven't had that experience.
So, and again, a lot of what's in that is, you know, the scalers and converters that's needed to do that, and, you know, the wall plates and that sort of thing, so.
Mhm.
That's that.
Okay,
What's the price tag on that?
I believe, 1 second, that was 16,116.
So, I don't know if I missed this earlier, but
16,000.
what's the exact, is it so that when somebody's making a presentation, it can be up there,
Yeah,
so
it
everybody
it
can see
go
it
out
rather than
as
people
as
coming
a
to the table?
live, you know, video feed. Basically, it gets around, not having any kind of projector system for people to show things or interface.
Well, somebody
Well-
would just take their laptop, hook
Yeah.
into that, and.
So then they could put their pictures of their plan, whatever,
presentation,
right up there.
Because
Okay.
most things now are PowerPoint presentations.
Right.
And that's whether somebody's coming before a planning board on new development, whether it's the different boards and committees presenting to the selectmen, so they see, you know, budgets and such. Probably help even like finance committee, because, you know, people like to project, and it also gives the town people watching the opportunity
Right.
to see that, you know, you're not gonna put all this up on, you know, like a blackboard or something, but, you know, you could on like a presentation, you know, mounted from the ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, the idea behind this is, you know, people have a very hard time seeing paper. They can't see it.
Sometimes even pictures. Ed and I were at a meeting here from the Cemetery Commission a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
They had a great presentation on the preservation planning. And, you know, when I saw it on TV, it was, you know, it was, you know, you have a camera on the screen versus
Right.
what we're gonna really now have is the real deal.
Right.
The actual content is gonna be delivered
Right.
live.
It'll be easier to see for the public.
So what we saw
at home.
live
Yeah.
was, you know, not the same as what I saw on TV. It was watered down a little bit.
Yeah.
Naturally,
Yeah,
because
well-
you've got a camera on it.
And also, the reflection from the wall,
No.
the wall is not as good
And
as
then, yeah,
having
and
a
then we did have
projection
people
screen.
standing at the podium, so this is I know exactly what you wanna do. It's
Yeah.
gonna just bring it up to the next level.
Yeah, and having a real screen is obviously gonna be a lot better, for everyone. You
Sure, of
guys,
course.
and anyone trying to see it, so.
Very good.
So, is everyone comfortable with that?
I'm just
Sure.
wanna,
Okay.
I understand what you wanna do, and you're talking about PowerPoint. That's all part of the projector system itself? So somebody's gonna have to bring in their own laptop and?
Right.
and-
Somebody will
okay,
hook into our system
Okay.
to do the projection.
So the likelihood is that it's going to be board making a presentation.
It could be a board, it could be a developer, you know,
Yeah.
making a presentation
Okay.
to the planning board. It could be any board or committee or department in the town when they're presenting their new budgets to the finance board. So I can see, you know, it being used a lot,
Okay,
so,
sounds good.
you have anything else you want to
I
add? to?
particularly like it for budgets, because, you know, we're sitting here when we do budgets and we're looking at these numbers, and no one at home sees that.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
it'd give the people at home the
Sometimes,
opportunity to see.
and those budgets are really not that complicated. People can actually follow us, or we're reviewing
Right.
line by line. It'd be great, actually,
Yeah,
great thing.
because it'd be a lot bigger than,
Yeah.
I mean, I find sometimes, you know, at the point
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, are you doing the trombone, so.
Yep,
Just trying to draw people in a little bit better, you
Yep,
know, so.
and keep them informed. I mean, that's, that's basically, you know, our job is to provide the ability for the different boards and
People to see
committees
stuff.
to put the information out to the voters.
Yep.
So then,
Wait a minute, so we
We-
need,
Oh,
are
yeah,
you done? So we
vote.
can,
I'm done,
we gotta
yeah.
vote on that. Okay, so,
Wanna make a motion?
you wanna make a motion that we vote,
No, go ahead.
vote the $16,116 to the addition of the projector and related equipment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous.
okay, so then the other thing was well, the last two things, did we table, do you want to table the whiteboard or?
We can discuss it.
Okay.
Tell, just so, again, so the audience
Sure, so,
can understand what you're proposing.
so this was really something that was brought to me by, I think Denise and the fire department. Their building houses our other meeting room. But they do trainings in there and stuff like that. So they had suggested that they would like some kind of smart board that they could write on that would then go into the system as an input. Right now, currently, they have a projector. We didn't buy that projector, but they have a projector that we tied into our system. We have a four input switcher over there, and one of the inputs is an AB switch that goes between camera 4 and a projector. So my understanding is that we would add either a secondary AB switch or a triple switch for the whiteboard, and that would come in just like the projector input on either the third input or the fourth, if we go between three. I don't know which one they're gonna do, but
Okay, can I ask a point of information? At what point was the equipment finished in the meeting room at the fire station? When was it installed?
the secondary meeting room?
Yeah, the secondary meeting room. When was it completed?
I think that was back in January.
And have any boards or committees met in that room since?
Not to my knowledge, but
Okay.
that's not because it's not functional.
Yeah,
It's
I
ready
know,
to go.
I know, it's ready to go, and,
not advertised.
I personally would vote to temporarily table this, would be my suggestion, if the room is not being used. Currently, we have voted so far to spend over $50,000, and I would just put that as a temporarily pause.
Yeah,
So that we get these projects done first, because one of the things, when they were talking about the CPC committee, was that, sometimes you can have so many projects, and some of the projects that had been voted on by town meeting 2 years ago have not been done.
Yeah,
So we already have 1, 2, 3, 4 projects that we just voted, over $50,000. I would like to take a first step, see these to completion, and I would like to see, hopefully, some of the boards and committees using that satellite equipment over there as is now, before we put more money in, to just stay dormant, would be mine.
Sure.
And I would ask any other committee member, if you disagree,
No, I don't.
by all
I
means.
agree.
I don't expect anyone to agree with
No,
me.
I think we have, we don't have to vote on the matter. I think we have consensus in the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
I
Yep,
definitely
that's
agree.
fine.
And I would just temporarily until,
I would just suggest, you meet again in August.
Yep.
And bring that plus another item that I'd like to suggest
Yep.
strongly that you guys should consider.
yeah, well, I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. So
Okay.
the only other thing that I have is, I had done some research into some tripods. One, to replace the Sackler that's not, we both sort of don't love that. And the other would be a more appropriate tripod for the FS7, because that's a heavier camera, and so that's what was recommended, something a little bit that can handle that
The
weight
weight.
better, so.
Okay, and what do you have proposed?
That's the proposal I have.
That's a tripod?
Yeah,
Wow, I guess I'm, I'm out of touch with tripods, because I remember tripods being a few $100s.
it's a nice one.
And
Well, the
what's,
last one you bought, they still had Rolling Hills in South Groveland, that's why. It's been a while.
yes, but, you know, for the audience, the proposed, tell us why this tripod is worth $3,445.
Well, you're actually combining both. The one. for
Both
the-
what? What
There's
is,
two tripods in there.
oh, there's two
Yeah.
tripods.
The one
Oh,
for.
so we get two tripods for $3,445.
Correct.
Okay,
They're lined with gold.
okay.
So again, that's weighted more for 20 pounds, somewhere
Okay.
in that ballpark.
Oh, and it does come with a
20,
carrying bag for
Carrying
both?
bag, 100 millimeter bowl, a mid-level spreader, which I think is
Okay.
better than the bottom level spreader.
Yep.
And the Bojan one,
The Bogan, yeah.
which would go for the NX5 camera,
Okay.
has a center post that you can go up with, so I
Okay.
feel like that would be
So
something
that's
more
what,
that you would like.
I would be able to use for
Yeah.
my second camera at the Board of Selectmen meeting, and that's what I
Exactly.
would be able to use when I do the annual town meeting at the
Yep.
Bagnell School.
Yep,
Okay,
Good,
so.
I like that idea.
okay. I can, you know, do you have any questions on that, Beth?
You're comfortable with it, based on
I'm
what you use
comfortable,
for?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
guess,
I
yeah.
know it looks like a lot, but you're putting a $10,000 camera on it, so you don't wanna
Yeah.
go cheap on it,
Okay,
you know,
well,
it just,
like I
it
say,
is what
I
it
just-
is. I think it makes sense.
Okay,
So that's a future agenda item,
for what?
what we just covered.
Tripod? I
Yeah.
think
Are you making?
we
the
could buy,
decision?
we could
We could do
No, I
that.
would vote on it
Oh,
tonight.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, okay.
I would say that, because if we're gonna buy the new camera, the new
Yeah, no,
camera's
you're right.
gonna
You wanna
set
put
and
it on-
not be able to be used. So,
Okay.
I would make the motion that we buy the two tripods for the $3,445.
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
aye,
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay, and the last thing that we don't have a proposal for, because it's in progress, is, we are going to tailor, a mobile audio, package of equipment for town meeting. I did try to go over to Bagnell with HB, but we couldn't get, demo gear that I wanted to see. So I'm not comfortable bringing something that I haven't seen in that space to make sure it works well in that space.
Okay, I just want to bring the public up to speed.
Sure.
At annual town meeting this year, which was held at the Bagnell School, just before the meeting was to start, we had non-functioning microphones. I personally had to leave to run home to grab batteries, AA batteries, to run back to the Bagnell School so that we could function.
Right, they weren't our microphones, though.
Right,
That's where
they
it's
were
going
not
in.
our microphones, but.
Or our
to-
sound system, that's why I would like to have it be
Right.
ours, we know what we're doing.
So the suggestion was that we buy our own sound equipment, and we would set up our own sound equipment for.
with a board too.
Yeah, a soundboard, a PA system.
Right.
All of that would be something that I would like to do probably in August.
Right.
Yeah, again.
I just wanna go over there and physically make sure that it's appropriate for that space, cause, you know, elementary schools can be notoriously
Yep.
poor design for acoustics.
Or maybe we want to ask the vendor if they'll come to our next town meeting, and we try out the equipment at that particular point.
Well, listen, we've come a long
A long
way.
way.
We've come a long way, and then, you know, the town meeting was a disappointment, not a reflection on anyone, but, you know, we
Yeah.
had a guitar mic, a guitar amplifier on a stage, hooked up to a microphone. We didn't have enough microphones for people. It was really
Yep.
kind of a Mickey Mouse operation. And we had running around, you're getting batteries for microphones. We need to go in there like the Marine Corps with our own equipment.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, we need to go in there
Yeah.
and be able to
And know we can
control the
function.
quality, know what we can do. The town meeting is so vital, it's a one-shot deal, it's almost like a wedding, it's a one-shot deal, you don't get a second chance, and,
Yep.
you know, we can't get everybody at the town meeting, and it was very difficult to hear what was going on at that town meeting on TV, and I was there.
Yeah.
I was there at that meeting, so I should have been able to follow, so.
Right.
So that'll be cleaned up with this package. I just want to say, I want to thank the committee. I've been on this board for, what, 2 years now? Ken Hamilton, God rest his soul, had a wonderful vision for bringing, you know, the technology and our media up to the level that we've reached, working with you guys. And I was very fortunate to get to know him before his passing, and he encouraged me to join this committee. So I've been very proud of what you guys have accomplished here. I'm decided to move on to other committees. I won't renew my appointment, only because I want to give other people an opportunity. I'm welcoming with open arms Selectman Watson as well, who will be joining this board. He's already involved as a liaison. So just continue the good work, and I'll look forward to seeing the results by watching meetings from home.
Now, one thing I want to bring up under additional business, one of the things I've asked Chris to do, we've had issues, and some of the issues, I can be honest, have been operator error on our part. Some of it has been issues with Comcast, and some has just been the change of technology and having issues that we just didn't know
Bit of a
about.
learning curve, too. This
Yeah,
stuff
the
is
learning curve.
god-awful
What-
complicated.
What I have wanted to task him to do over the next couple of months is to go back through his emails and make a list, because one of the things that I think is very critical, and it's like not the whole Comcast, but, you know, one time they dug up a fiber optic cable and put us out of business. Another time, a modulator went down, and they're responsible for the modulator, and they made us wait. I just want a list of things, because if it's issue on our part, fine, shame on us. But at the same point, we have not too many more years till we renegotiate our contract with Comcast, and I want to bring up some of these issues so that we can have a strong relationship with them, but also so that we're doing our job as a committee on behalf of the townspeople here in Groveland.
Good point, yeah.
Because, you know, we
When is
should
it?
hold,
When is the contract? Do you have any
I
clue?
think
I
it's.
believe it's 2017.
Yeah,
It's not too far
it's
off.
not too far off. So usually a year before, we have to do ascertainment hearings and ask the public, you know, their input, and then we go into negotiations with them, so. it
What other
really-
options do you have?
We really don't. I mean, because basically they're the only cable provider. Verizon expressed interest a number of years ago before the economy tanked. And we told them basically, as far as cable is concerned, as long as they match Comcast, what they give back to the town, they could come in, because they've already in Georgetown. But when we spoke to their representative a number of years ago, they said they weren't going to do Groveland until they were ready to do Haverhill. So until we hear them, you know, and that's basically what it is. Every time there has been an upgrade on equipment, Groveland has not received that upgrade until they basically finished in Haverhill, and then they move next door to Groveland.
Well, without any competition,
Well, they do, there's Dish, there's the satellite ones, so,
But for us, we don't have much of a
right,
choice.
so.
I mean, all this stuff
Right,
works
I
on
mean,
cable.
we have a license to run, you know, the access channels, or we tell them to
Right.
go home, and then that
But the
goes away.
plus, you know, even having had the problems with Comcast, it has been a good relationship because of the decline in the reporting of what's happening in town in the local newspapers. You know, at one point, back in the 80s, we used to have 3 daily newspapers that covered Groveland. And we had one, and sometimes 2 weekly or bi-weekly newspapers. There used to be the Merrimack Messenger and the West Newbury News that sometimes covered us better than the daily newspapers on occasion. But on the plus side, it's like having Comcast as our provider gives us the ability now to film our boards in committee, and we're not depending on a reporter to write what they thought was their interpretation of that committee. We're getting the information to our constituents in the form so that even if you and I saw the same meeting and came to different conclusions, okay, at least we saw the same thing. There were sometimes I would be talking to reporters and it's like, hey, I was at the same meeting you were, how come you wrote this? And it's like, well, my editor only gave me a 10-inch column instead of 14-inch, something had to be cut back. And
now we have a
depending-
4-hour column.
Right, and depending on the reporter or their editor, you would see things slanted one way or the other. So I believe the cable and what we're doing is so vital to getting the information out to the people in Groveland so that, one, they know what's happening in town if they can't be here. With Chris's hard work and Charlie's work, we're getting this stuff up on the internet. So somebody can be in another country or across our country someplace and click on a meeting and get that same meeting that we saw. So to me, I think we're doing a vital thing by keeping this going so that people stay informed. If somebody says they are not informed, then, it's their own fault. Because anyone, and even the people that do not have internet connection, a big plug for the library has computers that are available, so you can go to the library. Somebody who doesn't know how to use a computer, library, I know, will teach them how to use a computer, and you could see some of the meetings if you're on Dish or one of the satellite things. So I think it's still a really good thing for this town to have Comcast.
Can you get a breakdown in figures over years past? How many people in the town are hooked up to Comcast? How many to DirecTV? How many to Dish TV? And see if there's a
trend.
decline in
Yeah.
people with, that are hooked up to Comcast. I'm hearing the cost is bothering a lot of people. Where sometimes Dish is, or DirecTV a little cheaper. And I'm just wondering if we have a breakdown going back 5 years, how many people 5 years ago had Comcast as opposed to today? Has it changed? Have more people gone to another carrier?
Yep.
And I think before you enter into negotiations, you need to know that. You don't need to know, obviously, there's more houses. You don't need to know just how many people are hooked up to Comcast. You need how many on the other two.
Yeah. I honestly don't know if they would give us that information. Comcast, I'm sure, would tell us how many households are hooked up. They wouldn't tell us, what the service plan. And I know I'm like some people, it's like I've been Comcast person for a long time, but as their rates keep on going up, and them adding, like when they added the music channels, I'm like, I don't want music on there. I just want the video. And they're like, well, it's included. And it's like, no, it's not included because my bill goes up every year when you add additional channels or stuff I don't want.
That's
So-
something that can be entered into the negotiations.
Yeah.
And that's where they're holding it over your head. There is no other competition.
So is all this equipment compatible to DirecTV?
DirecTV would not give us,
That's the problem, right? We've made an
Right.
investment to work with cable. You end up with cable.
But Verizon broadband
Verizon has
probably
cable,
would.
or is-
Right,
probably would.
Verizon would, because
don't-
Georgetown
they're not in
has,
the town, so
Yeah.
we couldn't
Right.
physically, in order for us to go with Verizon, and if they ever change their mind, that would be great. I would strongly encourage us to do that.
does Merrimack have
No,
Verizon?
we only have Comcast.
Comcast, too.
I believe West Newbury does have both, but I think that's only because they're such a smaller town and they're.
Well, and Georgetown, I know, has both Verizon.
It might bleed
and
over from
Comcast.
Georgetown. I don't know how Verizon reached their consensus of where they're gonna go and where they're not gonna
Yeah,
go.
well, like I say, we.
I would love to get, if Verizon came into town, we would need another server for that
Right.
carrier. That's fine, we have, we could easily do that. And that would probably double the revenue that we get. I'd have no problem doing that. they've expressed absolutely no willingness to go there,
Yeah,
so.
well, like I say, when we had talked with a Verizon representative a number of years ago, it was, they would not come to Groveland until they were ready to do Havel, and then we would be done after. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I want to ask Chris to do, in addition to, writing to the best of his ability, the problems, what the solutions, and who was responsible, and I would like to task him with, I think the committee should be notified, updated on a monthly basis, the number of programs that were done for a particular month. So say, for example, for June, I would say by July 15th, he should have 2 weeks to compile a list of, these were the programs that were recorded during the month of June, and this is the amount of playtime we put on. Because if I remember right, and I have to check the contract, under contract, we're required to have X number of hours either per month or per week. So working into that, coming up to our contract renewal in a couple of years, I want to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to fulfill our end of
I
the
can
obligation.
tell you, I've looked into that a little bit, I don't know exactly what's in the contract, but
Yep.
I think I do have a copy of it, so I can do that. I can generate a report
Yep.
based on that kind of thing out of Cablecast, and, I know by virtue of the fact that we're programming 2 channels,
Yep.
15 hours a day,
Okay.
that we would meet
Yep.
that
And then
standard.
the other thing I want to ask a favor, I would like to not have programming on and preempt on the Board of Selectmen night. So it's easy enough for you to look on, because when I hit the live feed, there's almost always another program on, and if I was somebody at home watching, and then all of a sudden, something that I wanted to watch is being put over with the Board of Selectmen, I just think it would make us look more professional
Okay.
if that didn't. So if you looked on the meeting schedule and just make sure you didn't have anything playing on Monday nights that the Board of Selectmen meet, I just think it would make us look better.
And,
Okay.
and now we know who to blame for cutting out the other programs. Tracy?
No. Oh, well, when I do the Board of Selectmen, yeah. So that's all I had. To any other members, I know you have to go. Anyone else have anything else they wish to address?
Nope, not at this time.
All right. Then we will close this board, table
I want to
meeting.
thank you all for, helping me
Yeah.
through this massive upgrade.
It was a big one, it's a big one, it's still
I
going
think-
on.
I think we're headed in the right direction.
Irv, and I want to thank Joe, too, for his service to the board. We really appreciate
Miss
what
you,
you
Joe.
brought,
Yep.
and
Thank you.
look forward to seeing you in the future.
Absolutely.
So we close 7:26.
Make a motion?
Make a motion that we close the meeting.
I'll stick around another hour. Okay.
I'll second that so I can go.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you,
well,
thank you,
thank you.
Chris.
Very good.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Done. All
Thanks.
right,
Well
hey,
done.
thanks.